Happy Tuesday and welcome to Lunch in the Music Box. I'm your host, Steffi New, with my co-host, DJ Lotus.
DJ Lotus, hi. Hi, Nathan.
All right.
And we are so, oh my gosh, I can't even think of the word right now, but we are just so excited to have with us Nathan Thomas, also from the UK on the Futuristica Label. Nate, welcome, Nathan.
Thanks for having me. This is good. I'm like in the middle here. Look.
Yes.
Yes, it's a sandwich. It's a
sandwich.
Happy place.
So I'm actually trying to pull you guys up really quick on so I can make sure I have the comments as they come up, because sometimes they don't. So I'm just trying to pull that up really super quick. Okay, here we go. All right. So we're all set. We're good. So Nathan, what's up?
Hello. Been looking forward to this. Woke up this morning thinking, yes, I'm gonna catch up with the girls later on. That'll be good. And
I said he's not going to show up. He's not going to show up because I thought we scared you away. You know, we were like, oh, we're gonna talk to Nathan next week. I said he's probably like, I'm not going to talk to this crazy girl.
No, I called the interview you did with Georgie the other week, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. These guys are going to be great to chat to.
And we're easy. We're just girls, girls from the block, just like to chat with some of the best artists that are around right now. DJ YZO says big ups to you.
Yep.
I'm reading the comment here. So.
Oh, you're seeing them? Okay, good, because I'm not getting them up here yet. I don't know why, but let's see. Oh, there we go. I see it. Yep. Okay, so yeah, seriously, Nathan. So then DJ Lotus and I were talking, and she's like, girl, he's married. That was the picture when we posted, and you were like, I guess you said that you looked mean or something.
I looked grumpy in that picture. Yeah, I looked mean. It was a moody picture.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, he might be a little tough to interview, but I know that's not you. Anybody who sings a song like Namaste is not
absolutely. And I was like, I said, no, that's not a mean look. That's like a, hey, boo, how you doing? But I couldn't say that. Nothing like for your wife. I'm just saying, the ladies we recognize.
Doing me, blushing already. Look.
Oh, sorry, so sorry.
He's all red. Look at that.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. I can feel this already.
Ready to start blushing.
Somebody said doing it for the fellas today. I can't see who it is though. I'm not really exactly sure. Whoever it is, type who you are. He said he's doing it for the fellas today. So you've got your fellas watching you.
That's right.
So tell us. When did you start? How did you start your music? Did you start when you were younger with instruments or singing in school, or what brought you to where you are today?
Yeah, that's pretty much part of the journey. I think I learned guitar early. My dad used to play, and I used to watch Dad play, and then I picked up the guitar. My hands were too small to play properly, so I kind of gave up really early. And then I bought a guitar when my hands were a bit bigger and I was a bit older. And then I just wanted to, write my own music, write my own songs, and say my own thing quite early on. And it was horrible and sounded terrible. And God knows what I was writing about. But it was part of the journey and learning and crafting it. And I've been sort of making up as I go along ever since, really, just trying to improve on the last thing you write, improve on the last thing you listen to, and just taking all the influences that I can. I sang a bit at school, and then when I graduated from university, I signed a publishing deal. So as a writer rather than as a performer. And I signed over to Universal and was just working with all sorts of artists from all sorts of genres, but never quite finding what my voice was along the way. But I guess that was the training ground. I was listening to other people, seeing how other people's craft was being put together and what other people did well, and sort of sponging that up, trying to soak up as much as I could from studios and other people's experiences and stories and things that people were prepared to say on records or not prepared to say on records. And over the years, I've kind of just watched how it's done. And then over the last couple of years with Futuristica in particular, things have started to sort of form together artistically rather than as a writer. It started to be put together. And hence, that being the first album, Still Waters, that came out just last November.
Is that your first album?
Yeah,
together or just with Futuristica?
Yeah, no, that is really. I had an EP a long time ago that was that came out on an independent that was my first sort of toe in the water with music, and mainly it was with Mark Rapson, who is very fundamental in everything that Futuristica does. And I've worked with Mark for years, and we've got that sort of writing partnership. And so we did something a little while ago called Chapter 1 that was pretty interesting. And again, it was you could see from back then where we were heading with what we wanted to do with our music and how we wanted to sort of present it. And then over the years we sort of fine-tuned it and worked together and a lot of it was me being inspired by listening to Simon S.'s productions and Mark Rapson's productions, and their music has always had a depth that allows you to go somewhere lyrically that maybe some of the other stuff that I worked on didn't necessarily have that depth to go to. It was a bit more sort of pop and kind of okay that I was top lining other stuff. And I never felt like any of that stuff I could like say what I wanted to say over, because it just didn't connect. The music wasn't, do you know what I mean? It was just a little bit.
Right. It didn't connect. It wasn't you. You couldn't quite be yourself, is what you're saying.
That's right. Yeah. And their music has always had such an integrity and a depth, and it allows you to kind of go to places that I'd not been before lyrically. And that's quite brave. The guys that are brave of them to let me kind of interpret their music in that way as well, and encourage me to, at times, what felt like me oversharing, but to those guys, like, no, that's the point. That's the point where you kind of feel like you're being a bit more exposed, a bit more honest. That's the bit we like. So they nurtured that and encouraged that, and so yeah, it's been great to have those guys kind of, because there was tracks that didn't quite make the album. There was stuff that what either wasn't right or just had the wrong kind of, it didn't fit with the collection. So by the time the album got put together, the songs were in a place where there was a narrative that worked all right through the whole album, and it had something to say. And it was at that point they said, right, let's release this as an album rather than an EP or something. There's enough now for it to be an album.
Yeah, It seems like Stillwater is a story. Like there's a beginning, there's like the middle, and there's kind of like a cultivation of the whole thing, as you listen from track to track. Like I was sharing with you earlier, I had been overdosing on Stillwater, and I'm like, okay, this. And then also the EP, when you went back and you did Manifest, when you I was like, oh my goodness, this is really great too. But can I ask you a question? So on Manifest, there is a little person's voice at the beginning of Another Theory. Who is that by chance?
That's my son Theo. That's my son Theo. Yeah, he steals the show on the whole album there. He's lovely.
I've seen you with Theo, online, and I was going to ask you about him. He's adorable. Yeah. He's adorable. So
he's my buddy. Yeah, we're really close. And he sings along, and it's so sweet, like to hear him. And that's when you've got something that can. If the little ones can, and I don't make the music for little ones, but the fact that he can sing along, especially with that melody on Another Theory, there was something kind of nursery rhyme like in places, and it just worked when he sang it. It was like, you've got to go on this, and so it opens the whole track. Yeah, bless him. Yeah, it's lovely.
Super adorable. So when you did Namaste, speaking of your son, is that, because I was sitting here and I'm listening to it, and I was like, I'm reading little cheat notes that I have written down from this. It almost sounds like a letter to a son who's like 16, and you're trying to prepare him for like first job, first love, what you want her to think of you. What was the story behind that?
Yeah, I think the album went along that line in many ways. There was a what would you leave behind? What would you pass on? What do you want to sort of make concrete so that it can be dipped into and listened to again? If there's anything you've learned, what would you like to share? And I think in my younger writing, when I was in my 20s, it was boy meets girl stuff, and it was a repetition of that kind of narrative. But then as I've got older, it's family's the priority, and so that comes through consciously when I'm writing. I can't write past what's in my mind at the time, and so that was what was in my mind at the time. So, and I find a lot of my writing ever since, actually, and since the album, I'm continuing to be influenced by where I'm at, and you know, the label, Simon and Deborah and Mark, they allow you to be where you're at rather than attempt to be something or somewhere else.
Right.
And so I was allowed to write stuff like that. And although I might not hear much of that come through in sort of people's writing, I felt like I was allowed to. So yeah, there's a lot about my son and my mum and family, and yeah, there's a lot that comes through in the album. That's where I was at, I suppose, at the time.
That song, Namaste, because I'm all into, well, you probably can't see the back, but
yeah, I know,
you know, the Buddhist thing. And I actually have a surprise for you.
You do? Oh, wow.
I saw your video. I'm not great at it. I have several of these, actually. I even have a little tiny baby one, but I just bought my little one here. And I said, oh, he even does that. And I know Simon, when Namaste first came out, he sent it to me and he said, I think this song will resonate with you. And so ever since then, you didn't know it, but you and I have a little bit of a spiritual connection.
That's cool. That's cool. Go on, give us a little go. Show us. What's the note on that one?
I'm not great at it. Stephanie, I think you're better than I am. It's too little. This one's little, but.
You have to loosen your grip, your fingers, and let your wrist kind of.
It's tricky, isn't it? It's really tricky.
It's very tricky. I can do my big one a lot better. This little one is kind of.
Do you find you're building up a collection? You're quite addicted to them now. They're like.
They are. Like, I have a little table full of them, and it's like each one I'm thinking, oh, I can get this one. But I thought it was so cute when you did your video because you said, you know, I'm not good at it yet, but you know, sometimes I get the hang of it, and it just really, and then sometimes like now, it's probably because I know everybody's watching, but I'd like to make it hum or sing, and that's the part that I have the problem with when you go around that way. I want a really big one because I think those are probably easier.
They are, yeah, and they get like a felt around the edge.
Right.
So there's like
right.
I think that catches
exactly.
a bit more, and they're amazing. They just send to you very quickly. I did it for years when Theo was young. I used to at night do that just to send him off to sleep. And now when we do that, it's so indicative of that time of night. You go to sleep and you listen to that, and now whenever I do that, it can just sort of centers me a little bit, and I think works with Theo as well. So hopefully he'll have memories of Dad being a madman with a bowl in his bed like that. Go to sleep, son. Go to sleep.
Yeah, I love it. And so when I saw that part, I was like, that's why I like him so much. And then real quick, you were talking about reps, and I don't know. Well, you saw the video of me dancing to your song. Yeah. DJ YZO and I did a mix for Futuristica. I don't know if you heard it yet. I know there's probably a few people that did it, and for some reason I seem as well to always mix you and Mark, you know, together. You know what I'm saying? It's like you guys are to me, the perfect music to mix together. And so when he saw that and he said, is that a mashup of this and this and that? I said, yes, actually it is. So I don't know if you guys have heard it. I don't know if you all heard it yet, or if Simon allowed you all to hear the mix yet, but we did a whole Futuristica mix. So you'll have
done that. I saw the post where I sort of heard the two tracks being blended together, but I didn't know you'd done a whole mix. That's awesome.
Of all Futuristica, all Futuristica 15-year anniversary mix. So you'll have to ask Simon to let you guys hear that.
He will. I'm sure he will. I'll get someone to ping it over straight away.
It's interesting that DJ Lotus brought up Mark Rapson. So when I'm looking at your music, you guys collaborate a lot, and you guys kind of have a history too, huh? With him introducing you to some, what was this song called? Running? Was that the one who, was that the song I read that, is the song called Running?
Oh, he did. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. I mean, the people that share music with you are so important. And you're so blessed when somebody says, have you heard this? Have you checked this out? And it broadens your mind. And occasionally that happens and it completely blows your mind. And Rapson introduced me to Farside's Running, which was produced by Dilla, obviously. And I was like, whoa, where's this? This is amazing. Like, is there more? And he was like, look, let me open the Dilla book. And it was like, wow.
Right.
And it led on to loads of discoveries of of producers and sounds and particular styles and laziness in beats and production techniques that just was just very influential in how Mark makes music and how I like to listen to things that are a little bit more wonky than the usual, and that's for oversimplifying the incredible work in the nuances that happen within those productions. But yeah, I vividly remember that moment. I think sometimes we all remember people that have introduced us to artists. That just changes directions and listening habits and collections, and that was definitely one of them for sure.
Is alternative or neo, what do you consider your genre? I hear soul, but I also hear a little bit of, I don't know.
Let me compile on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, because that was actually going to be the question after the question I was going to ask.
Okay,
you.
go ahead.
No, you're good. So, okay, I have heard you do house, house, like Heat. I don't know where you guys came up with that, but let me tell you, when I am trying to clean my house and getting the groove on, of course I dance more than I do that. Or if I'm working out, I will throw that on, which is incredible. But yeah, like house, it says jazz. Oh my gosh, I'm just trying to sit here and go through all the things. Neo soul, R&B, hip hop. I mean, there's so many words that describe you. What do you consider yourself? Like DJ Lotus was saying, what do you consider yourself? Or what do you prefer? What is your music? What is Nathan Thomas's genre?
Wow, I think that is impossible to answer. Like only because like all of those genres you've mentioned are influences in my listening habits. But then as you mash all that up and then it comes out with what you do, I think I'm still working that out. I think is the best answer I can give you for that. I'm still trying to work out what that is. Some of the stuff that I've been making recently has got almost like a sort of broken folk kind of. There's
That's what I was getting ready to say. I hear a little bit of country, a little bit of folk, a little. Yeah. It's funny you said that, so I was right on point. I knew it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's an artist in particular that I think is incredible called Iron and Wine, and his stuff is just so intimate and it's kind of it's acoustic, but it's stripped back, and there's nothing. He's not hiding from anything, and it's really brave, and lyrically it's incredibly poetic, and so I'm really influenced by some of that stuff as well. So it's acoustic, but it's got soul as well. There's soul in what he does, and other artists like him as well that sort of can blend a little bit of soul into folk and add some jazziness to some of that. I think that's a really interesting combo. I'm quite excited by that at the moment. The idea of the acoustic and the real instruments and how you can create that kind of impression of groove, but has got that singer-songwriter edge to it as well. So I'm playing around at the moment with some of that. So yeah, some of the next stuff might have a little bit more of those influences as well.
It's strange. I actually was telling DJ YZO, I said he's so soulful, but there's something else I'm not sure what it is. Country music or folk music, and so as soon as you said that, I was like, good. My ears are better than I think. So
well spotted. I've kind of hidden it in some ways in the album, because the production isn't that in necessarily, but I think lyrically, when you're storytelling, that lends itself down that kind of that road as well. I think there's some of the greatest songs written are in that country and folk kind of element in terms of story and journey and painting imagery and pictures that you get as you listen, sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that. That's cool.
And I just want to say something real quick. It's kind of funny. So when I look at the Futuristica family, I kind of have a vision of a family, and I call Georgie like the baby of the family. When I look at you and I think of Nathan, you look like Uncle Nathan too. You're the uncle Nathan. Mark is cousin Mark. I have this like whole like vision of a family.
Yeah, that's about right.
Family. So I give everybody these nicknames, and so yeah, your uncle, your Uncle Nathan.
Mad Uncle Nathan. That's about right. That's perfect. Yeah,
that's cute. So if we're gonna look, see, you were just feeding into my questions. I love this going here. Okay, so Uncle, Kenny Thomas.
Yes, my uncle Kenny Thomas.
So I read somewhere that he gave you your first guitar. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and he gave me, more than that too. When I was growing up, seeing Uncle Kenny on the telly and hearing him on the radio, like driving in the car, and Uncle Kenny came on the radio, you'd be like, "Whoa, that's mad! That's my uncle." And I think I'm influenced by Kenny in his music. I'm influenced by Kenny in his outlook and life and his thinking, and he's a major influence on me in more than music. As a family man, and his philosophies and ideas. He's just he's always been somebody that I've been able to look up to and feed from and understand, and he's a massive influence on me. And he gave me my first guitar, and he's the microphone that I used to record the album on was from Kenny, and so he's been incredibly supportive over the years, and has just sort of nurtured and steered. He's been that critical friend. I've played him stuff, and he can sort of say it's a swing and a miss, Nate, if you've not quite nailed that. And I can take that from Kenny, and it's been good to have that influence in life. But I think seeing Kenny do it meant it can be done, and I was so close to it, and I could see, and I was backstage at certain events when I was a little bit older, and I've seen Kenny gig, and it's just I had a window to what possibilities are if it goes well, and seeing Kenny's success was like, damn, I want to go at that. I want to have a go at that. That's right. Maybe I could, I don't know. And that's what's driven a lot of what's gone on over the years with me and music. But Kenny again is another one of those very influential people along the journey that played me things as well. I vividly remember sitting in Kenny's house in London, and he had an incredible sound system, and he just sat me down in the middle of it and said, "Listen to this." And he put on the Erykah Badu's Baduism album, and I was just that was it. When On and On came on, I just was like, I've never heard anything like this. This was absolutely incredible, and it steered. It completely steered. And then when Kenny knew my reaction to that kind of music, he was just feeding me. He's like, check this out and listen to that and that. And then as I was growing up, I remember Kenny coming back with albums and stuff, and he was like, you got to listen to Michael McDonald's album. He's just awesome. Check this album out. And we put it on and blast it, and my mum and dad would be listening to it. Yeah, so he fed us all with music. Definitely, he was very influential, and just kept it all coming for all of us.
One of your favorite artists is also one of mine, Eric Benet.
Yeah,
I was reading that he was one of your favorites, and I can see why. What is one of your favorite songs of his?
There's loads. I love the Day in the Life album. There's countless tracks on that. There's a vibe to that album that is amazing. There's a track called Hurricane that I really like that he did that is really beautiful. I think the song narrative is what I love about it. So the song about almost welcoming the hurricane. There are going to be times where the storm comes in, and that is needed. And that I just thought was a brilliant concept. Instead of just woe is me kind of thing, it was about woe is you, but actually it was from that greater things came, and I think the story of that particular track is brilliant. I think his songwriting is just incredible. He isn't too drawn into trying to be like, and he just writes from the heart. Like, it's very soulful, real songwriting, and I love that.
I feel the same way about Lenny Kravitz, actually, in the way that he does it. It's very organic, I think, for both of them. And your music is exactly gives you the same feeling. So.
Cool.
You guys, I'm serious. You're making this so easy for me today, because I'm like, I always say I want to kind of like
that means
really organic
vibe, and it's just
right. I'm always like, I just want to seem like friends just catching up. So it really is like kind of going that way. So you guys, when Sherry mentioned Eric Benet, and then you were feeding in on your feelings about that, and then I know you have posted a cover that you did of his, but I want you to, if you would mind doing this. I do want you to play something for us, if you can.
Sure. Okay.
And I want you to play Winters. And the reason why I pick Winters is because to me, that kind of even has that Eric Benet feel to it. Like I hear your voice in that just takes me there. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, okay, so that's really, yeah. And it's just a beautiful, like romantic, you know, kind of feeling that you get from that song. So if you would, can you play a little, sing a little for us?
Do I get the guitar? Let me get the guitar.
Okay.
Actually, I had my mic off. I didn't even know. I don't know how long it's been off. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So this was written because if I remember, like going back on sort of things that happened, I could relate them to winters for some reason. When things didn't go great, they were often related to winters, and it was just about surviving those times and learning from them. And I apologise if I get this wrong because I haven't played it for a little while, but I'll give it a go. Okay. There are winters in my mind where I can't deny grace was intertwined. And though the darkness chokes the light and I fall behind, the fire never died. December's came, I fell again, losing all the ground I thought I'd made. I'd start the year a thin veneer to hide the cracks I fell through again. So there are winters on my mind where I swore blind the grace had left my side. And did the architect decide on the strangest design to hide the way out from my mind? December's came, I fell again, losing all the ground I thought I'd made. I'd start the year a thin veneer to hide the cracks I fell through again. So there'll be winters to survive where I'll rely on grace to be by my side, by my side, one last time.
Yes, that is, you know, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that. You know what's romantic about that song? Because
So romantic.
it is, even though you're talking about trials and tribulations, relationships are trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're talking about your love with life. Like, okay, you know, yeah, this and this happened, but you know, and then it has kind of a spiritual, you know, thing to it too when you talk about like grace and stuff. Yeah. So you're a really spiritual person, huh?
Yeah.
I think Peacemaker. I'm like,
that's my song. Peacemaker is my favorite.
Yeah.
Peacemaker is my favorite.
Big part of growing up, a big part of the journey, and not always an influence. I think as a kid I was kind of connected and inquisitive. I think that's the thing. I've always been really inquisitive, and sometimes that kind of crisis, if you like, takes you on different journeys and trying to work out answers and what does that mean? What's bigger picture here? What's really going on? I think we all wrestle at times with what that means for us and how we, you know, steer ourselves with it. But yeah, there's a big part of a lot of my thinking as that.
I think we're related. We're related. I do have family from there. We're related. We definitely have we're definitely connected in a lot of ways. And I've always, felt that it's always been an energy. It's that way with all the Futuristica fam, actually. And I see why you guys gel so much.
Exactly.
It's deeper than music. And I can see that. I felt that, I feel that with Deborah. I felt that with Georgie. And I see that in you and all of you, actually. And I now, in talking to you guys, I now see why you all gel, and it just works out. So
I think when it gives each other permission, doesn't it? I think if other people have gone there, you can go there, and then you only need one person to listen and say that I connect, and then it authenticates what you're doing, and it makes you want to do it more. And they're all very good at that. They're all very good at saying whether it connects or not, and nurture that. But yeah, a lot of Deborah's journey has allowed doors to open with the way I think and write and stuff. So I've been very, very lucky to be around the guys, the team there for so many different reasons, from personal right through to musical.
And speaking of Deborah,
look at that.
I have on your shirt. Simon, I got your message. You're welcome. It is a cool shirt. I just had to put that out there.
I like that.
Yeah. Of course, I'm sitting here. I'm like going, like, okay, yeah. There was something else. I can't remember the line, but I want to talk about manifest. Like, how can we have you on here? We talked, Stillwater. How can we not talk about manifest? We have to talk about that.
Right.
And I want to know. First of all, let me just say, I want to be the woman that you sang about in Manifest. When when you're describing her, I'm like, every woman wants a man to think about her like, oh my goodness, I'm trying to think of what that line is. When you're describing her as, oh gosh, I'm drawing a complete blank. And I was like, oh, I had to play it back a few times on this one particular part. And you say that she's a soulful. Where's my cheat sheet? I have another cheat sheet. I'm probably gonna have to put it in the comments, and you're gonna have to answer that. But where did this come from? Because I mean, seriously, that is a song every woman would like for a man to look at her and say, "Oh yeah, you're this, and because you do this, I'm gonna do this." And yeah, give us the 411 about that song.
I guess it wasn't intended in that way. In that I didn't write it necessarily as a kind of romantic song. That was much more about my wife and I. Every New Year's Eve, we write a list of things that we want for each other and the family to happen in the year ahead. Kind of like not resolutions, because they're things you want to change. These are more sort of
like a vision board on that.
Exactly that, yeah. And we do that every New Year's Eve. And
I love that. Since
we've been doing it, that we then on the same time also look back on the year previous of the list we wrote and see whether any of that happened. And since meeting my wife and things, it feels like more has been manifested through our joint energy and what we both want collaboratively for each other and for the family and those kind of things. So I wanted to write a song that was just about that moment on the New Year's Eve, when we write down what we want, and you see it, I think it. That's how we manifest. Is the chorus? It's
right.
And her vision is often more rock steady than mine. I can say, well, this would be great, and then I waver from that. And no, I don't know whether that would work or whether that's a good idea. But right. she's once she has something in her mind that she wants to achieve, and for us or the family, then we manifest that. So we try as much as.
I love that. When is your birthday?
30th of January.
30th of your Capricorn?
Aquarium.
Yeah. Okay.
An aquarium? Not an aquarium.
Aquarius.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm a little bit into the horoscope, so I was just I was wondering when your birthday was. So
yeah, I mentioned water a lot, and I didn't realize I do that. I think I mentioned water a lot in some of the imagery I use and stuff. And Aquarian obviously is a water sign, so I think it's a water sign. Obviously, it's.
I think so.
So yeah.
Listen, I think on one of your next songs, you need to play. You need to have a little bit of this going on.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get some down, and I'm going to send it to you so that you can put it in your song. You're gonna be like music bowls by DJ Lotus. Singing bowls. I said music bowls, but singing bowls by DJ Lotus. I'm gonna practice now. I gotta practice.
That'd be great. We should do that, even as a bonus track on the album, just a joint meditation.
Yes. Yeah, just something real smooth. Just a little bit. Just
Right. Wait, you have to make sure you have the right bowl because the different bowls have different pitch. So
I have like 3 or 4 of them, but I want to get a big one.
Right.
Deborah, you should see Deborah's collection. She's got these like crystal ones. They're huge, and they shake the room. They're amazing. I remember her. She's got like a rubber mallet with a big sort of rubber ball on the end, and you go around.
I love that.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
We should just do a whole song of just singing bowls and everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
I know Simon is like, okay, Sherry, you're taking this a little too far.
See, I'm about to turn her mic off. I'm about to turn her mic off.
I'm getting a little out of hand here.
No, I'm just kidding. But I am looking at the time, and I do like to be respectful of that, especially because everybody has lives and people have to go back to work.
I know I do have a real job.
But Nathan,
I really take my lunch break, during this time to do the interviews. And so the whole DJ thing is just a completely side thing. So yeah, definitely gotta get back to work. But I never want to hang up. That's one of those things like, hey, can we talk all day? Like we don't have any jobs or anything. But I love talking to you guys. It was great. I'm so glad you came on. I was afraid we scared you away.
No, not at all. It's been lovely speaking to you. Really cool.
Nathan, you literally I can't even you're so enlightening. You just really are. You have been a breath of fresh air, and I'm sure all the viewers feel the same way. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.
Thank you. All right. And you guys, we will see you next week, Tuesday, same time, Lunch in the Music Box with myself and DJ Lotus. And we'll be interviewing one more Futuristica.
Who you got next week?
We have La Note.
Amazing.
Simon, we need Rapson. I'm sure Stephanie's already been working.
You know what? I was actually going to tell Mark that he is not escaping just because I haven't.
He's not. No, you're on our list.
You're on the radar. Like
yes, you're on the radar.
Expect a message. Expect a message from me.
Yeah, no, The Note will be wonderful next week. Her album's awesome, absolutely awesome.
It is, and I'm gonna have to brush up on my French a little bit so that she and I can, converse a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, Nathan, and thank you guys for joining in. And we will see you again next Tuesday. And as I like to say, I like to quote the late Don Cornelius: "Always imparting, we wish you love, peace, and soul." All right. Be blessed.